touch anything.
It's the greatest find yet. Nothing compares to it.
But it's definitely something you should hear.
This is The Real Deal with Larry Lawton.
Welcome to The Real Deal with me, Larry Lawton, and we have a new starting. We had two new segments. I told you that 2025 is going to be a crazy year. Well, we are getting the bugs out in 2024. There's going to be no bugs. I am going to introduce you to Jason Downs. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Glad to be here.
Let me give everybody a little background on Jason. Before I start that, I want to thank Oliva Cigar. Oliva Cigar has been with me now for a couple of years. They make the Crooked Diamond. The Crooked Diamond is doing very well. We're in Germany. We're all over. Now, people, so if you haven't, check Oliva Cigar out. They're really good. They're in the links below. Now, what I'm telling everybody is, a lot of people ask me hey, Larry, what about this case or what about that case? Because the way I defended Diddy in its own way. And I always said I never defended if he did anything with a kid or did something like that. That's the end game. But I could defend that indictment. We're going to talk to a criminal defense attorney, Jason Downs. Let me explain who Jason Downs is. Jason Downs is my criminal defense attorney. I love when people, you see, I am your. Well, Jason is my criminal defense attorney. When we are in private, I can tell him anything, and we are under attorney-client privilege. People say, why would you have a criminal defense attorney, Larry? Because I know how the system works. My job would be to shut up, not say a boo, and just say, I'd like to call my attorney. We're going to get into that. Jason does criminal attorney work, and as everybody knows, me as an attorney, how I look at Jason is he's not scared. And everybody knows out there that you watch a lot of the guys, the criminal guys, they're either leaning one way or the other. They're very hard-nosed and conservative, or they're very liberal and they want everything to go. Jason is a law guy, and he did a lot of work before he even got his law license. He actually consulted two lawyers on what to do for how many years. We're going to get into that. But we're going to go over a case, Nick's case. A lot of people have been asking about that. But not even just Nick's case. We're going to have Jason on at least twice a month. I'm calling that now, maybe more. I think Nick is going to want more. We will be covering all cases. So if you have a case you want to hear, please let us know, and Jason will go over it, and we will go over it. Jason is our criminal now, and I'm saying ours as the Real Deal's criminal defense attorney.
Really quick, we're not trying to make my case a series or anything, but it just keeps getting spicier and spicier.
Well, a lot happened since the last time, and I'm going to first of all, let me tell you, Jason. Jason, like I said, is in Brevard County, Florida, and also in Jacksonville County, or St. Augustine?
St. Johns County.
St. John's is St. Augustine. He has an office there. He works with a former judge, a good friend of mine as well. I'm sure you have a few other attorneys. I don't know. I'm sure, right?
We've got at least one more, Tyler Murphy, who
I met him.
Civil stuff in our office. So.
Yeah, very nice guys. And here's what it is. In law, don't get the guy that just has all the plaques, because that guy's not even going to probably do your case. It's usually going to be an associate if he has a big enough office. Secondly, get the guy that's hungry and not scared. Sadly, everybody out there, there's a lot of attorneys who literally are scared of either the state attorney himself or the sheriff in the county or a politician. They don't want it. Jason has the attitude I have, and that's why we get along so well. You're right. I don't care who you are. We're going to do this thing right. And he works with common sense, and that's what I do. If you take the law and you bring it to common sense, it should work out. Jason.
It should. It doesn't always.
Welcome to the show, Jason, and welcome to our audience.
Thank you.
You're going to get to know Jason. Jason, a couple of things. First of all, congratulations. You're 16 years married.
Yeah, tomorrow, 16 years.
To Tara?
Tara. Yeah. My amazing wife who puts up with all of my shit. So, yeah, I'm a lucky guy. You
are. And how many kids?
2.
2 kids. And the schedule, because I know I've seen you work a lot. Criminal defense attorneys do work, man.
Yeah, so I got really lucky when I came into this firm with my partner, John Murphy, and we started this partnership. He's about the most laid-back guy you'd ever meet. I showed up my first day in a suit, and he's like, come on, man, if we're not in court, we're not in suits.
I love that.
So we're really laid back. We do focus on having that work-life balance. So we limit our hours, but because of that, we limit the amount of cases that we bring in. So,
Smart.
So that way all of our cases get the attention that they need, but we have the energy to give them that attention because we celebrate our lives outside the office as much as we do in the office. So
Sounds like us here.
yeah, and that's the important thing for me is I get out of the office in the afternoon and I can spend the evenings with my kids and
that's pretty good. I know you're a family guy and a pretty wild guy who at one time like we all were, so to speak. I'm a little older than Jason, that's all I'll say, but a lot older actually, but he's kind of the pet. Jason, I got out of prison at your age, 46.
That's unbelievable.
I went in at 30, and I went in at 34.
Yeah, I won't say how long ago that was. So we'll leave them guessing.
Yeah. But, Jason, we're going to talk about attorney. A lot of people think it's all about the big cases, everybody, and we're not going to go there all the time. We're going to talk about cases that are going to affect you, that you get stopped by a cop. What do you do? And you put your hands at 10 to 2. We're going to give you the guts and bolts of what happened. If the cop's an asshole, what he can do, what he will do, how Jason would defend the case. We'll do hypotheticals, but that we'll always tell people they are hypotheticals. We will do cases if we have the permission from everybody to do them.
That was quite a pitch. That was really good.
Well, obviously,
the little guy. You're looking out for the little guy.
Absolutely. Nobody knows. You didn't know anything what to do, did you?
No, I didn't know anything. Well, I knew some stuff, but I don't know enough that I'm going to think I'm being a smart ass or mouth off to a cop. So if he's telling me what's going on and
you believe him.
I think that's the truth.
That's the problem that we have here. It's two problems actually. So number one, most people don't know what to do. They don't know their rights. No matter how intelligent they are, we've got engineers and doctors and stuff that come in the office and they made full confessions. They made statements. They made excited utterances that can be used against them. In court. They submitted to field sobriety exercises. They consented to searches, things like this. Because
you're going to go over a lot of those.
Right. So no matter how intelligent they are, they don't know their rights. And then we have the other people, and this is the other problem. They know their rights, but they acquiesce to that lawful authority. They're scared. They're either scared or they think if I fully cooperate, I'm going to have a better outcome. The cop's going to be nicer to me, and that's from everything I've gathered. That was you. I want to fully cooperate because I want this cop on my side, and so you're either scared into
confessions or whatever,
or you do it out of that acquiescence, because that badge, that uniform, the gun belt, and the car with the flashing blue lights, it's scary.
What is acquiesce?
Acquiesce. You're following what he's telling you to do.
You give in.
Yeah.
Acquiesce.
And that creates issues down the road that a good criminal defense attorney can use in your favor.
Well, definitely for an appeal.
Well, even at the trial level, did you actually consent to a search, or did you merely acquiesce to lawful authority?
Oh.
And that's an argument that we use on a regular basis. And that's you merely acquiescing doesn't mean that you gave full and knowing consent.
Oh, I like
so
that.
On that case, Nick, can you give me a piece of paper and please do. Jason, on what you're saying there is, I always say that I think cops should be held under a different standard. As anybody who has the authority to take my liberty or my life under the color of law, if I kill someone, I'm going to jail tomorrow. They shoot somebody, they're not going to jail tomorrow. They're going to be an investigation. There's going to be a lot going on. They have what's the word for that? They have
I'm good for now. Thank you.
They think they get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Where a regular person, thank you, Nick.
Well, look at the benefit of the doubt they get when they walk in full uniform in front of a jury. They're automatically believable. So the defense always has that extra hurdle that we've got to cross to destroy their credibility.
Oh.
Because that uniform comes with inherent trust. And us as citizens, not us in this room, but the average citizen, they see that uniform and they trust. What do we teach our kids? If you're in trouble, if you're separated from your parents, if you're being kidnapped, whatever, you go to a person in uniform. So it's ingrained in us. It's almost like an inborn behavior. And so we get these jurors who aren't convicted felons, who haven't had run-ins with the law, and they see that uniform walk into court for a jury trial, and they automatically find that person credible. So it's an issue.
I knew your side about Melly not coming in his jumpsuit. I didn't know. Are they allowed to wear their?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely.
See what happens?
But the criminal is
No, what
so
happens?
he can
Nick,
wear. But I like that the criminal can wear a suit and tie.
No, they actually have. If you're not
Yeah.
convicted, you don't have to go in front of the court. Front of a court. Now, on hearings and stuff, they'll leave you in your jumpsuit.
Yeah.
If you're not in front of a jury, they'll leave you in your jumpsuit. I actually went to a trial by judge in my jumpsuit. Another conviction, but it didn't matter in my case. That's a funny one. But Jason, that's great what you said, because what is, there's a lot of mottos out there. What is yours? Shut the fuck up. I love that.
Yeah, always shut the fuck up. And it's funny, my wife actually bought this beautiful artsy fartsy statue for my office, and it's like this metal silhouette of a beautiful woman with her finger to her lip. And I think that the artists, when they designed that, they were probably thinking something like shush or something along those lines. We call it the shut the fuck up statue, and I pointed out to my clients. And unfortunately, by the time my clients are in my office, it's already too late for them to shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
So I tell them, in the future, if you ever find yourself in the situation again, you have a right to shut the fuck up. Use it.
Absolutely. You know that as my attorney, we actually discussed that. I mean, not to show that he knew I knew that, but that he is my attorney. So there's not going to say, oh, you don't have an attorney. He is my attorney, period. And I could say, I'd like to speak to my attorney.
And a lot of
that actually brings up a really good point. I'm sorry, I mean, go ahead.
No, you're good. A lot of people think they can talk them, way
out
out
of
of the
me.
situation, and I did that from 16, 17, and I was like, okay, if I cooperate and tell him I was doing 95 and a 40, when he asked, how fast you were going, I was like, I have to answer the question.
Shouldn't ask you.
Yeah.
Well,
So
go ahead.
As to what you were saying, the average person, they get pulled over. They tell the police officer, I'd like to speak to my attorney. They don't have an attorney, because most people don't hire a criminal defense attorney until they've been arrested, right? Right. So you have the foresight of, hey, if I ever get jammed up, I've already got a guy on speed dial. And I would encourage anybody that's watching or listening, go find a local criminal defense attorney that you can trust, that you've vetted, and you look at their results, and it's somebody that you would hire if you were ever in trouble.
Absolutely.
Have a conversation with them and ask them for their cell phone number. Hey, if I ever need to avail myself of your services, I'd like to have you, on standby, ready to go. I don't know any reputable attorney that would charge you a penny for that. If anything, it's good marketing. You get your name out there to people that.
I think Nick's got a criminal defense attorney.
How do you go about vetting and then doing your due diligence so you're not hiring just someone?
So here's the dirty secret of the legal field. Larry mentioned plaques on the wall, and I've got a lot of plaques on my wall as well. But most of them can be purchased. Okay, so and I won't name company names, but once you become an attorney,
I've got
all of these companies start emailing you and saying, hey, for $625, we'll sell you this plaque. We'll put you on our list, and that's where most of those plaques come from. There are only a handful of real rating systems that are based on real results and peer-reviewed. Martindale Hubbell is one of them, and I'm actually not even rated by them. I've never been contacted by them. My favorite is Super Lawyers. That's owned by Thomson Reuters. You have to be nominated by a certain amount of other attorneys in the field that don't work with you.
Does the bar have anything to do with that?
No, the bar doesn't do any rating or anything. The only thing the bar does is they say yes or no, you've been disciplined.
Right. You passed your bar, and you're
right. Or they may say, face discipline, 5 years ago, from a complaint, and then you can click on the link and look up what the complaint was about. But there's no rating system with the bar. Another one is Avo, and that's where I always tell people to go, avvo.com.
I've heard of that.
They have a rating system that you can't buy. You can't trick their algorithms, that kind of stuff. It's based on your involvement in the field, how long you've been doing it, whether or not you're published in peer-reviewed journals, things like that, case outcomes. But the biggest thing you can do to vet an attorney is look for reviews by real clients. And that's one of the things I always pride ourselves on is, we have outstanding clients that are happy with the results, and some of them actually take the time to go on Google or to go on Avo or Facebook or somewhere like that and leave a comment.
Absolutely.
And click that 5-star button. And that's what I tell people is, don't look for all the plaques on the wall, like Larry said, because most of those were bought, and there's no results associated with that. Look for real reviews from real clients who said, hey, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith handled my divorce case and got me a great outcome, or whatever the case may be. That's really the best way you're going to vet an attorney. And of course, word of mouth. If you know anybody that's used an attorney, ask them. The biggest thing you want to ask besides results is communication. The number one reason for
I was going to go into all the stuff you're talking about. We got to keep going.
Yeah, number one reason for bar complaints in Florida is lack of communication. So you want to find an attorney who's accessible. I know attorneys that still have AOL email accounts.
What? What?
Yeah, do not publish their cell
How's
phone
that
numbers.
even legal?
Like that. My cell phone number, my personal cell phone, I've only got one. My personal cell phone number is on our website. It's in all of our marketing. It's on my business card. Every one of my clients has access to me 24/7.
Oh, that sounds like a lot.
Well, I give a disclaimer that it is my personal cell phone. Don't wake me up in the middle of the night asking if you have to be in court.
I would trust you. Unless you're in jail.
Right
there, I would trust you.
Right. Emergencies, you can contact me anytime. During the day, text me about anything you want. I'm super responsive to text messages.
Well, I know that.
That would be
obvious.
yeah.
So that's the really big thing is.
I'm going to give a few other things, Jason, that I've used as a guy who's used a lot of attorneys in his life. First of all, when you meet an attorney and you sit down with him, they can talk all they want. If they're not truly paying attention to your case, and you'll see it. You'll see them pick up their phone, maybe hold on a sec, and they'll take a phone call from a secretary. He's got to give you the undivided attention. He's got to give a case, because your brain, obvious, Jason, what Jason said earlier, he didn't know, it really impressed me. They limit their clients because they don't want to overdo him, because he can't do it. Right. A lot of us guys in prison were so good, the judges used to tell us, because we had nothing else to do. You didn't have a family. You didn't have you're doing it for 18 hours in a day. You kept sleep. And also, when you're looking at that attorney, years experience doesn't actually impress me. You could have a big name lawyer. All it means is big money. You get a lawyer who might have been in the 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, and is doing criminal letter and is not in fear. I say it all the time, because I can interview an attorney and I can tell right away by asking about some politicians or what would happen. And you'd be surprised. Well, we'd have to really think twice about. No, obviously, I also tell clients, know your case. You have an attorney. He will represent you and guide you and defend you with his guts. That's their job. It's not a prosecutor's job. They're supposed to seek the truth. Defense attorneys' job is to defend you at all costs, period.
Yeah.
Now, as Jason, you'll see attorneys that are, I don't know about subpoenaing the sheriff. I've seen that so many times here. You have too.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And here's the thing. Call a spade a spade. We live in Brevard County. We've got Sheriff Wayne Ivey. He's nationally known.
I'd like to know about some of these things. We'll talk about that.
I personally, as a citizen, I love Wayne Ivey. I love what he's done with crime rates. He's
done good things.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I actually like about him is how well he treats his deputies, and his department is run really, really well. And again, as a citizen, I want low crime rates. I want lots of arrests. I don't care, and I think he has the mentality too. He doesn't care if a case gets thrown out in court. You got to get the drunk driver off the street that night. So even if the deputy makes a mistake here or there that the attorney can use to their benefit, you got somebody off the road before they killed themselves or somebody else. The other thing I like about Wayne Ivey is he knows that we all have a job to do in this justice system. And that's what I don't get about attorneys that are so scared of him, because if you do your job and you're just doing your job, you're not grandstanding, trying to use his name to promote your business. If you do your fucking job and you subpoena the sheriff's records or you subpoena videos from the jail, whatever it is that you're doing, you put up a fight, he's going to respect you for it. He's not one of these sheriffs that's going to attack the defense attorneys. I've never seen him say a bad thing about a defense attorney. I've seen him call out judges, and he's even called out judges that he's endorsed during their elections based on low bond and things like that. Seeing repeat offenders, and he does the YouTube videos and the Facebook videos where he talks about so and so's been in and out of court 300 times in the last 3 years, and he always gets bond, and he'll call out the judges by name. But I've never seen him say a single negative word about a criminal defense attorney doing their job. So there's no reason to be scared of these guys. And even if we lived in a county where there were sheriffs to be scared of, it's your fucking job. It's your job to fight these guys tooth and nail for your client's benefit. So I don't see any benefit of cowering down to any office, no matter how high it is.
I wouldn't care if it's absolutely. Where my issue goes to is hard on first-time offenders. So, like, kind of belittles the wheel of fugitive. They've shown people who weren't armed lost their jobs. That to me is just why. I mean, why do we have to put a foot on a person's neck when they're down?
Yeah, so I get it. I'm personally not the biggest fan of those things. I'm not a big fan of posting juveniles' faces and names, things like that. But he's got a job to do. He's he's repeatedly elected for a reason.
He's a politician.
And all most.
That's
I shouldn't
exactly
say
why it is.
Most sheriffs are.
No, I get it, but sometimes actually, if I worked for him, I'd respect it more than I do that. I don't. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
The reason I say that, Jason, is even when the guy's wrong and pretty clear-cut wrong, he won't say it, which I guess that's good for him and his department,
right?
But does not give trust in certain parts of a community, period. And, I had a speaking event once, and I had a big crowd, but it was the lower African-American and lower economic people.
Right.
So, of course, they hear my story, hear the sheriff telling you to be good, hear Larry say, be good, but fuck it, you made a mistake. It's not a big deal. You got to turn your life around.
Right.
That's my mottos. And I just know a few things that it's taken over departments so much, like from the animal to Cape. I mean, before you know it. See, there's no recourse on a sheriff. Here's my problem.
Right.
And I want you quick on this. We're going to spend time. Any sheriff, the Orange County Sheriff, which was Jerry Demings at the time, they gave up the jail, which I think they should. And let me just give you the reason why you'll understand. When a sheriff has the jail also under his control, instead of putting a jail director, answers to the county commission, you can now, if your kid's in there, you can go to your commissioner and say, listen, this is not right, what's going on? Go to a sheriff, you don't care, he's one person, you got 5 people answering to a director, answers to them. Here's the problem. There's a $40 million budget in the Brevard County Jail. If you want to look good, or you need a budget increase, all of a sudden he tells his deputy, puts out a memo, arrest everybody. I'm done with this minor shit, arrest them. All the windows, that's called the windows theory in policing.
Yeah.
So he arrests everyone. All of a sudden the nail numbers are big, and we got to do something about crime. We keep arresting these people. What do we do? And when he wants to make himself look like they're doing a great job on the street, don't arrest anybody, and the jail numbers go down. It's too much control over different apartments that you can commingle.
Yeah,
I mean, people don't understand that.
No, I've actually never thought about that myself.
People don't.
So it's interesting you bring it up. Almost like a separation of powers between arresting and housing. And I don't hate the idea. I'm sure somebody has done somebody much smarter than me has done some study on that somewhere. What I don't want to see is privatizing jails.
No, but they are.
Yeah, I know.
No, they are privatized for medical.
Yep.
You know that.
Yeah.
They got. I can go back on this. I sued a lot. That was one of my fortes.
Yeah,
literally going after the system.
Well, and so if there is a benefit to any kind of privatization of jails, prisons,
none.
I don't see any. But if there was, you've got a little bit more separation from that sovereign immunity if you do have lawsuits, that kind of stuff. But of course, there's the Supreme Court case from many years ago. I don't know the name, but if an entity is so closely related to the government that they seem like the government, they probably have sovereign immunity too.
But it's a lot of people don't know this, and you do, I'm sure. Listen, that immunity they get, I can get it. All you have to do is prove deliberate indifference, period. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
I actually helped a law firm in Orlando, a big law firm. They said, Larry, we need your help with this case. Kid got abused at a jail in the bathroom, and really bad, with a broom handle, sex, and ripped him up and everything. And they go, and first thing I did to him, I said, I want you to go to that jail, and I want you to get every infraction, it's called a shot or infraction, in that jail for the last 5 years. They went back, and every year things were happening in that closet, and people were abused the same way. So now they lose deliberate indifference when you know.
Yeah.
See, people don't know, Nick, if a cop in a jail, or even a cop, if a jail cop goes crazy and kills a person right there, never made signs about doing something, nobody in that jail is going to get in trouble. No warden, no anything, because that's where the immunity, because you don't know. Now, if he kept beating people, and they know about it, and it's been reported, they're not doing their job. It's called deliberate indifference to whatever is happening. And once you prove deliberate indifference in the federal court with it, it's called a Bivens in 1983. It's over. I've never seen them go to trial.
That's a good point.
They're gonna once they go into a trial. You think they want to go in front of a trial with a kid like abused like that, and they're gonna forget it. They're gonna get millions of dollars.
You know, the ones that I don't understand are the ones that do go to trial when there's clear and convincing evidence. I had a criminal case that I got dismissed. Police show up. They don't have PC. Police show up. They want to talk to my guy.
They don't have what?
They don't have probable cause.
Yeah. Well, you tell the audience.
Yeah, sorry. So they show up. They want to talk to him. He just got home and he's got pizza. He's taken into his family. And he declines to speak to the officer. Keeps walking towards his door. And this cop loses his shit. And it's on his body camera. Like, he screams at my guy. His voice is cracking. And he runs. He tackles my guy. The fucking pizza goes all over the ground.
On his property.
They cuff him. And then the cop's body camera had fallen off. But you hear the taser activate numerous times after my guy's cuffed. Pisses his pants. It's horrible.
I've seen a lot of that, and I was abused.
I don't do 1983 claims because I don't like federal court.
Good move.
Yeah,
but I did. And I wouldn't.
So 1983 is a civil rights claim. So it's
violating a civil rights.
Yeah, it's not named after the year. It's the U.S. Code 1983.
And I remember I told you it's always the person.
Yeah.
Right. So I had a firm that I was referring these cases to, and this was initiated. They initiated it in state court in 2021, I believe. And immediately the law firm that this police department hired files a document removing it to federal court, and it's just been sitting there ever since. The last document, I looked this case up just yesterday. The last document that was filed on the case was August of last year. And that's what happens when these cases go to federal court.
Because a judge sets everything, obviously.
Yeah,
but you can push them in, and there are ways. Obviously, the tricks, that my game was the federal. And the tricks to the trade is they're trying to time bar somebody. If you miss time bar, you can lose the case right there just by not filing in time. Yep. Kind of nick in the arraignment. But we'll get into that because you made a good point about not knowing it was done. We'll talk about that. But my thing was, in the court system is the federal court's the big boys because they don't care. It's a whole different animal. A federal judge is God. People don't get that, Jason.
Yep.
That I watched the federal judge tell another judge, I will put you in jail. To another judge, a state judge. He could do that.
Yeah.
He could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick.
I was going to say, never mind. I don't know how to say it. I'll cut that part out.
But I want to get with Jason on your case now, Nick. Okay, so Jason knows the law, as you can see. What Jason and I were talking about, I did not notice. Nick, do you want to update people on what happened in your case?
Sure.
Go ahead. Update them give them a brief opening. Then give what happened, and then we're going to talk to Jason.
You didn't hear last time. I got pulled over in Plantation Keys for improper passing in a bike lane. Nothing else. But then when he got my license, I got what is it? 2 misdemeanor? What is it?
You got a second degree.
A second degree misdemeanor.
Knows the law.
And he threatened to take me to jail. He towed my bike, costing me a lot of money, and Larry, thank God, helped me get my bike out. When we got home, I sent an email about my court date, and that's where we're at, right?
Well, we went away on a business trip from the 5th to the 20th. Nick, on the 4th, I think you did, he emailed, you emailed the clerk of the court, who he's told to email the exact address,
right?
And he even emailed it to me, so I got it, so I know it went through. And obviously, we got back from our trip on the 19th. They didn't say they got anything. I went on the clerk's website. You can do that.
I never got an email from anyone. Yeah.
Nick has a bench warrant. Nick, maybe we're on air. Maybe they're gonna come get you. He has a bench warrant.
Maybe don't air this one until after that's resolved.
Bullshit. Let him come here. Yeah. You know that. You're on that. He had a bench warrant with a $10,000 bond.
No, it's still active.
I said you have a bench warrant for failure to appear for his arraignment. I asked Jason a few questions about that, and he's going to answer them.
What is an arraignment? I'm still a little confused on arraignment.
You have a constitutional right to arraignment. Arraignment is simply when you enter a plea of either guilty or not guilty. You're not. It's a very brief hearing. You're not making any argument. You're just telling the judge whether or not you're going to contest the charges. So it's an important constitutional step because prior to that being constitutional law, people weren't arraigned, and so they would sit in jail and rot indefinitely on bullshit charges. So arraignment is it's the first step in a criminal proceeding. In Florida, we have an additional first step.
First appearance.
Okay,
first appearance.
I got a criminal charge because I've got a lot of tickets to appear in court. Every ticket I got, I had to go to court, but I never heard.
Well, because
it was
right
a speed.
Now,
okay.
and I haven't looked your case up on the clerk's website, but my assumption right now is you've got count one is the
only one count.
Well, they're not going to add a second count for failure to appear.
We're going to find out
how things are going.
Yeah, so to me, the way that court is acting, and by the way, I have to be very careful with my wording because the bar is really clear. I can't.
Absolutely, we know that.
Right?
But you can talk about law.
The way that court is acting, I would not be surprised if the state doesn't add an additional charge of failure to appear for arraignment, especially since the judge already screwed you over on this one.
Yeah, I wonder why, and then we're talking hypothetical. We're not talking. We're going to get to their case. Why would a judge not pull that bench warrant? Because if Nick got stopped tomorrow, coming here,
well, yeah,
he gets arrested.
Listen, there's a lot of stuff that I see in Nick's case that I've just never seen here in Brevard County, and you have to remember, I'm a Brevard County lawyer. I've handled.
You're a state Florida. You're on the bar in the state of Florida.
But every county is different, and again, this is one of the problems that we have with disparity in how criminal cases are handled. And I always use death sentences as an example, but this is a really good example, Nick. Our circuit, we're in the 18th Judicial Circuit, and that covers Brevard and Seminole counties, and we have the same state attorney over those
and public defender
and the same chief judge. You could get arrested for murder here in Brevard County, and they seek the death penalty. You could do the exact same crime just right over in Seminole County under the same jurisdiction.
Even the same circuit?
Maybe they go for life there.
But how is that? It's the same state attorney.
But it's not the same prosecuting state attorney. It's not the same assistant state attorney that's making
they all
the
work
decision.
for the state attorney.
Right, they do, but you've got division chiefs that make those decisions. So that we have this disparity. There's this inequality in law, and when we talk about inequality in law, people usually think we're talking about race, socioeconomic status, things like that. The real inequality in law is how cases are prosecuted and how cases are handled. We used to handle cases in Indian River County, our sister county. It's close enough. Different circuit, different appellate court, and I actually really like their appellate court, the 4th DCA.
They're not the 5th DCA?
No, they're in the 4th.
Wow, I didn't know that too.
And so
learned that.
We avoid those cases now because we get railroaded by the court. I can't tell you how many times we've showed up for the very first docket sounding. So, a month after the arrest, we show up for the very first, and it's supposed to be just a status hearing. You just tell the judge, we're either ready to enter a plea, we're ready to go to trial, or we're not ready to do either of those.
And we're waiting on this or whatever.
We'll show up, and the judge will be forcing us to a plea. They'll make the state announce a plea offer, and the judge will say, are you taking the plea or not? We'll say, Judge, we haven't looked at discovery yet. Well, no, I want an answer. Are you accepting that plea offer? Because I want to get this case over with. We're like, Judge, we haven't looked at discovery. We don't know if a plea is in our client's best interest yet, or if they want to go to trial, or if there are dispositive motions we can file and argue. And the judges are trying to force these cases to plea. And that's just one county over. Here in Brevard County, they give us as much time, within reason, they give us as much time as we need to properly defend and for the state to properly, prosecute a case. Usually,
especially high-profile cases that I watch or read and been in, they're very lenient with getting, because they're all overturned. If you don't give an attorney enough time and you get a new attorney, a lot of times those are what they call appealable offenses. Most appealable offenses happen in voir dire with the juries, but as what Jason is saying is, I did not know that. I know the law is handled different counties or different circuits because it's the 16th Judicial Circuit he's in.
Right.
I had no idea that in the same circuit, because you're talking one state attorney.
Yeah.
He makes the choice. Let's face it. He's the big boss.
Right.
And he's got 1 million people in this county. I know them both. I know everybody in this county, obviously. Right. And I did not know that. When you go to arraignment, right? Now, Nick missed arraignment.
Right.
I've never seen an arraignment on a failure. I've seen arraignment. There's not a failure payer. His arraignment was for a second-degree misdemeanor of not having a motorcycle endorsement. That is the weakest second degree misdemeanor I've ever. Why in the world? First of all, would it be second degree? I think there is a third degree.
No. Florida only have first and second. So
okay.
First degree is punishable by up to a year in jail.
And it's 60 days is the second.
90 days and 9 months probation instead of 12 months probation. So,
I thought it was 60. It said I thought I read 60, but you're right. I guarantee it.
Here's how idiotic I think this is, and I told you before we started recording. I didn't even know this is a misdemeanor. I thought no
civil citation.
I handle a lot of criminal cases, a lot of motorcycle cases. Like I told you before the show started, I've handled a lot of DUIs that occur on motorcycles where my clients don't have the motorcycle endorsement. I've never even seen it written as a ticket in criminal cases. So again, different jurisdictions. So you've got a tourist jurisdiction down there, like we were talking about, and I think when you have jurisdictions like that, they want to make their revenue off of non-citizens, non-residents.
I said that, a money grab.
Even then,
I don't like to say it until I do more research.
Really messed up because it's a tourist. So what if I was just vacationing down there?
They don't care if you come back. Somebody else is going to go there in your place.
Well, Jay, I'm looking at it like he said. When your economy is true, I love the Keys. I used to go there every month. And I've never seen an arrest in the 25 years I've been going there. Never.
As crazy as it gets down there.
Crazy. Never. You know why? They don't want people to go home as a man. They can arrest you if you drink in the streets, you smoke cigars. It's pretty late. Again, even the bouncers and people handle the problems so they don't get arrested.
Right.
I mean, I've seen that. And then the cops work very well. Now, the first time I went to Fantasy Fest, wow. There were cops, and Nick did see him at 3, 4. I'm in bed. He's out. He's out till 7 in the morning. I'm out till 2.
Yeah, if there was a time for me to get arrested, it would have been, the 3 nights I was out until 7 a.m. at Fantasy Fest. I feel like
not while you're driving home sober.
Yeah, and not only with a helmet, with a long pants, a gloves.
On a Sunday.
Right. On a Sunday to get back to work. I don't know, I keep thinking, Jason, I'm a pretty logical guy with the law, especially all the law I've done. I try to find out where's the something that went. Did Nick, and I'm going to find out because we get the body cam and I'm waiting. I hope they don't keep dragging me along, but I'm going to open this eyes to people. Let me tell you something.
So they're going to drag you along until the state has filed, because then it's out of the police hands. Then you can get it through a FOIA request.
Well, they filed, didn't they?
I have a question.
Did they file an information yet?
I have a question.
So the state does that? No, doesn't the police gives the report.
So the police accuse you of a crime, and then it's the state's job. In other states called an indictment. Here we call it an information, a formal charging document. I don't know if they filed one in this case yet. That usually happens before arraignment, but I don't know if they've done it in his case yet. But yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I'm glad you said that because I have questions for that.
Yeah, so if they haven't filed an information yet, they're not going to share discovery with you because it's not public information yet. So it's not public information until the state has decided they're going to hand over discovery, within a reasonable amount of time from his request. Go ahead.
Wouldn't it make sense that I wouldn't have, or I guess an arraignment's different, but wouldn't it make sense that if I'm pleading not guilty, I need my body cam footage first?
Yeah, well,
no,
because
I don't know.
Yeah, that would make logical sense, but not everything in the law is as logical.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
That's actually a really good point. That I don't know how I want to plead because I haven't seen the evidence yet, Judge. But
I was scared.
Florida law dictates that the way criminal cases proceed is governed by the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, and there are milestones that are in order. And discovery doesn't happen until after arraignment and until after the state has formally charged you.
So I would go to arraignment, say not guilty, and then they'll finally probably give us the body footage.
Well, at some point, you or your lawyer,
I paid for it.
I believe that they're going to literally not send it.
At some point, you or your lawyer are going to have to file a demand for discovery, and then the state will file a response stating they're going to comply with your demand. And then they'll give you the witness list. They'll give you the arrest report.
This is crazy for this.
Now here's the thing.
I love having you here, Jason, because you're opening our eyes to even a minor case. People, this can happen to you out there.
So most people show up, and this is not the document, by the way. But most people show up in my office. Are like, I got the arrest report right here. It's 2 pages long. Wrong. That's the probable cause affidavit. The police officer who arrests you without a warrant has to justify to the judge at the jail why they made a warrantless arrest. So they give this little probable cause affidavit, and it usually exaggerates the things that help support their warrantless arrest, and it usually leaves out anything that helps you. We don't see the real arrest report, which is usually 18 to 25 pages long.
You were right. I should have got arrested.
We don't see that for like 6 weeks after the arrest.
In fact, they didn't have it in the system until a week after. I mean, even anything in the system, because we called when we got back on the 27th, and they didn't have anything until the 4th before we left, and we had it. Then he had to do the request again. And what people don't know, hold on a small or minor or traffic case in the state of Florida, you as the defendant represent yourself, and the cop actually represents himself during a traffic infraction.
Right, civil traffic infraction.
This is where I was so confused, because that's why I was like so like lackadaisical about sending the email. I was like, well, I've done this before with speeding tickets,
right?
And it is totally normal to just be like, I have work. Can you just do it?
Yeah, how's you supposed to pay for it?
I checked my email. They didn't send anything. They didn't send anything. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm good. I'm working out of state. I'm not gonna, which. My bad for not emailing him 14 more times.
Well, what happened, Jason told me before the show, people, because we're going to be hearing a lot from Jason, because he actually can handle me, which is tough, because I know what I'm doing, but he knows how to just chime in when I need to know that. I did not know this, that, yes, we put in the motion, call it what it is, a motion, even though through email. I guess they do that today. We didn't have that in my day. But they put in a motion through email, and it wasn't recognized, or is that what you call it?
Yeah. So a judge hadn't ruled on it. So you essentially made a request, which is a motion, and I don't care if you make the
I've done one on toilet paper.
Right. Yeah. People have done them on cardboard. We do them orally in court every day, right? You made a request that made its way to the judge, or was supposed to make its way to the judge. So it doesn't matter that it was an email. That's a motion. And the problem that I think that Nick ran into was, you, like just about anybody else, would assume, hey, I've sent this request in because they told me.
He sent it to me too,
right?
So I knew he got it. It came to me,
right? So he was told by the clerk, here's what you've got to do: send an email to this email address. So he did that,
and I trust all of these people.
He thought that meant that means he gets the continuance. But in the judge's order, the judge essentially says there wasn't an order on that yet. So the judge hadn't made a decision, and essentially if the judge hasn't made a decision, then everything remains status quo. There's no change. So in this case...
So the judge is really making the decision?
Well, let me... Oh yeah.
I thought this was all like pushed paperwork by...
No.
So I think I'm guessing.
I am confused.
I think what probably happened, they told you to email the clerk's office. The clerk's office would then forward that email to the judicial assistant usually. The judicial assistant will print it out and go put it on the judge's desk. My guess is that by the time the original arraignment date happened, the judge probably hadn't seen it yet. Or if the judge is just an asshole, he saw it and just said, I'm not going to rule on that.
And that's alleged.
Let's see if he shows up.
No, he's just saying what could be.
Yeah, I don't know the judge. I don't know the judge's name. So I don't know if the judge is an asshole. But that would be a real asshole thing to do. You've got a pending motion in front of you and you just ignore it. I don't know any judge that would do that. So my guess is that, given the judge benefit of the doubt, my guess is the judge just didn't see it by the time the arraignment.
A question on that.
I have one too.
Okay, but this is important because take a situation. Obviously, he puts in he doesn't get the paperwork even from the clerk. They didn't put it in their system until the 4th.
Right.
He does exactly what he does, and he has to go away and work. What do you do? Are you just in la la land?
You know what?
Or does it cost you an attorney?
Because I don't even know how to
think about that.
You know what they did to him? They Randy Weavered him. This is the...
Okay, tell us what that is. I don't know.
The siege on Ruby Ridge. When the fucking cowards from the ATF murdered the mom and the son and the dog of the Weaver family. So
is this a true story?
Yeah, true story. Ruby Ridge. You don't remember Ruby Ridge? Well, you were probably locked up in Ruby Ridge.
I was.
So Ruby Ridge was like the precursor to Waco, Texas, and all that kind of stuff, right? So you have like a religious zealot family living off the grid, and the husband Randy Weaver.
I heard his name.
He sold a sawed-off shotgun. but he sold it to some skinheads. And so these skinheads were being watched by the federal government. So he falls on their radar. They give him a court date, and he shows up on the court date, and they tell him, oh, no, your court date's been changed. The clerk gives him the wrong date for the correct court date. So he doesn't show up when the court date happens because he's been given the wrong date, which the date he was given falls after the actual court date. He doesn't show up. So now they issue a bench warrant for him, and that gives the federal government what they needed to come in with the snipers and all that stuff and surround his homestead. And when his dog alerted by barking,
I do remember this.
Sniper killed the dog.
I read about it.
Yeah, sniper killed the dog. Then his 13-year-old son shoots at the federal agents, who he doesn't know are federal agents. He's just shooting into the woods, and then they shoot and kill him. And then after a several days long standoff, they shoot the mother and kill her while she's holding her infant baby.
I am seeing a lot of ties.
Yeah.
I am seeing a lot of ties to my
So
case.
my point is, when I say they Randy Weavered him, they told him, hey, send in this request, everything will be fine. He sends in the request, and everything isn't fucking fine. And now they issue a warrant.
What I want to tell the audience for a second, everybody out there, we're not trying to listen. The United States, to me, is still the best country. We have the best form of government and everything else. Obviously, Jason and I agree on a lot of things, and pretty much not much we don't agree, and that's why I think this show's going to open your eyes. It does happen. I've seen corruption in the federal government, in the state attorney, U.S. attorneys, at all, and I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah.
And when I see that, listen, everybody got to know one thing. A state attorney's job is not to win at all costs. It is not to win. It's right in their
not supposed to be.
Mandates.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why Nancy Grace, I can't stand her. I've never lost. Well, then you screwed a lot of people over.
Yeah.
I mean, because your job is not to win.
Right.
It is to seek justice, get the right outcome, not just win at all. And they do, and you know that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot you saw. But in Nick's case, let's get back to this. So they Randy Weaver him.
Well, another.
You would think the judge would see. I got all these threads. It's this. Okay.
Well,
I mean, and we're talking about a wait. Let's get this straight, everybody out there. We are talking about I can't even imagine. If that was me with a misdemeanor, I would have laughed. My record is so bad. I'll show it to you. It's so long.
Point. That is literally the point of this entire thing. I didn't even know. You just said that what, a level 1 misdemeanor? I'm gonna go a year.
Are
you gonna send me to jail, bro?
It's called the first.
So what's a 2?
This is
a first degree misdemeanor.
You're gonna get me locked up for more than a year?
Yeah, I think you should tell the judge.
He's been saying 60 days.
So
you've been saying 60 days.
So here's the thing. I've never, ever seen here in Brevard County, and again, maybe we just have the best judges. I don't know. But I've never seen...
Shout out to our judges.
Yeah, big shout out to our judges.
I know a lot of them very well.
Yes. I've never seen all of these things that have happened. First off, I've never seen an arrest for no motorcycle endorsement, and that's on law enforcement, not the court.
Wait, so how... You guys keep saying I was arrested.
Yeah,
technically you were.
How is this technically? You I wasn't even detained.
You weren't physically seized. Well, you were detained the moment he pulled you over. You weren't physically seized and taken to jail.
Yes, once you're detained, technically.
You were arrested. You were taken to
I
jail.
Wasn't free to go.
Exactly right. People don't know that. Right. Tell that. So, and that can happen to anybody out there.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I've never seen anybody arrested for that. Then I've never, well, I shouldn't say never. I usually don't see judges issue bench warrants for failure to appear at arraignment, especially with something that's minor like this. What I usually see is our very kind Brevard County judges just enter a not guilty plea for the defendant, and they set it for the next court date. And then I don't think I've ever seen a $10,000 bond on a failure to appear for a misdemeanor arraignment.
$10,000. You saw that, right? Did you not?
I did. And then I've never seen a misdemeanor judge fail to retract a warrant when it's requested.
I wasn't even violent.
The purpose of that bench warrant is to secure your presence in court, right? So anytime I've ever, sometimes they don't even make us file a motion, but anytime I filed a motion or sent an email and said, hey, judge, this person just hired us. They saw that there's a bench warrant. They've retained counsel. I'm going to show up at all their court appearances. Can we please quash this warrant? And they always say, yes.
Sure.
You send in a request saying, hey, I see there's this warrant over my head. Here's the emails I sent requesting that
You read them.
Yeah, this is obviously just a misunderstanding. I'd really like to not have this warrant hanging over my head. And the judge issues this written order
to change the date.
He changes the date. She changes the date, which seems like she's agreeing with you. But then she says, "But the $10,000 bond will remain over your head until you appear in this court."
How is he supposed to get to court?
I'm thinking even deeper.
Maybe she thinks sheriff's going to take him.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not. First of all, let's get that straight.
Take him down here.
No way will any sheriff's department have to put a person to travel to another court unless there's more to it. No way will they see what happens when you get arrested in out of county or out of state even. You have a bulb, whatever they have, the NCIC checks. Right. They do that check and they see you have a warrant. Nick will get arrested in this county because they really don't know what's going on.
Yep.
You can say anything you want. It's bullshit.
Hey, you have a
just
warrant.
shut your mouth.
Do my job.
If that does happen, just shut up.
Yeah, it's not
say a word.
They've got to arrest you if they come across you and you've got a warrant.
It's too late. Not like the tow
truck. Good advice. If it happens, don't say
not like the tow
word.
Yeah.
But
a kind police officer, if it's during business hours, will call the sheriff's office down there and ask them, "Hey, I've got this guy, pulled him over for a speeding ticket or whatever. Do you want me to detain him?" But the average cop is just going to go ahead and arrest you.
Yeah, and now think of what happens. Now they arrest Nick. They then have to, after they arrest him, he has a $10,000 bond, which is I never heard of.
Wait. Sorry, let me interrupt.
Yeah, yes, please.
That's not a $10,000 bond here where they actually arrest you. It's no bond here. It's $10,000 bond down there.
Oh, until they get me down there.
Very good point. Very good point.
10, 15 days. Until they get me down there.
30 days until they get me
And now, knowing how this is all going, I would sit here for 2 weeks until they
Well, let me tell you what happens, Nick. I don't know what it is, Jason. I know they have so much time where they'll then let you out. The county that got you, they'll call and say, "Listen, do you want him? If you don't come get him by this date, we're gonna let him go."
Yeah. So what I would do in a case like this, if that happened, I don't think it's gonna happen, but let's say
it does.
Yeah. Let's say you got arrested.
I'm gonna go with it does.
The day you got arrested, the first thing I would do is file a motion to extradite. Just don't fight it. Don't fight the extradition. File a motion to extradite.
So if he gets arrested, shut his mouth, call you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know that.
That could.
He's your lawyer, Nick.
That could. That could speed up the process to get your ass down there so you can address this.
Or just say we don't want to extradite him.
And that would be the hope, is that they say
it costs too much money. Yeah. Even a deputy in 1 day of work coming up here for a case, which is I'm so blown away. Really.
This is just,
but they can tack that onto your court costs. So when you enter,
when you
end up entering a plea, they give you some sweetheart plea deal that you can't refuse. They're always going to say plus court costs, cost of investigation, cost of prosecution. So it's $50 cost of prosecution since you're in misdemeanor court. Court costs are going to be calculated by the clerk the day you enter your plea. They go up every month. Every time there's a court appearance, those court costs continue to mount. And the cost of investigation, however much time it took that cop standing there on the side of the road. Now, when he goes back, we don't run into this as often anymore, but you look at cost of investigation sheets. And by the way, that's a Florida statute a lot of people don't know. Even if you're, wrongfully arrested, but you enter any kind of plea on that case, the police agency is allowed to request recoupment for the taxpayer dollars they used in arresting you.
What about the 90% upcharge on the tow?
Well, that's
all on.
That's
you.
already done already.
So, exactly.
When you get these cost of investigation reports, you look at them, and you may be fighting pennies, but sometimes they'll check the box that they had to use a CD for $1, and then the jewel case to put the CD in for 10 cents. And
I would love this.
Well, I never got a CD. I never saw a CD. You use a body cam; those are uploaded digitally. So you can fight those things on all the way down to the penny. And when you start doing that, then the state is usually like, "Listen, this is
all bullshit. Get out of here."
We will waive cost of investigation. But again, that's because we have a decent state attorney here in Brevard County. We've got decent prosecutors here.
No, I know a lot.
That's why
the vast majority of them. There's some bad apples, just like there are anywhere else. But the vast majority of them are good, honorable people that aren't out for a pound of flesh for every person they come across.
So let's get back to this case really.
I had one thing to say really quick.
Go ahead.
Is that was exactly, I was trying to be like, okay, well, she didn't see it. That's why I got the warrant. She didn't see it. It's a mistake. For a whole day, I was like, it was a mistake.
Right.
I just sent my email. they're going to redact it. It was just a mistake. So now she didn't. So then I start thinking like, oh, are they trying to like get me down there or arrested before I have an endorsement to do more stuff?
There was my next point. Your next email to the judge, to the judicial assistant, is you should request a Teams link and request permission to appear by Teams. So
okay, say that again, please.
Yeah,
for my audience, I need to notice.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court of Florida, this happened during COVID. When we had COVID court, so it was all done by Teams. Yeah. It's all Microsoft Teams. We couldn't go to court because of the COVID shit, right? So things were running so well because we were allowed to appear by Teams that the Supreme Court eventually said courts can now, even after COVID, conduct the like ministerial hearings and shit by Teams,
docket soundings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I would request a Teams link and permission to appear by Teams.
Dang, I want another vacation.
Listen, you live 6.5 hours away.
Yeah.
It would be a financial and logistical burden for you to get down there.
Oh,
it doesn't seem like they're worried about it.
How do I get down there without an endorsement?
Your only mode of transportation is a motorcycle for which you don't have an endorsement yet. So,
and he signed up for the class beforehand, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, and we can talk about that later. Another thing, if you were my client here in Brevard County, this is just about any traffic offense is what we call a strict liability offense. Okay, there's just like speeding. You can say I was rushing my pregnant wife to the hospital because she's in labor. Doesn't matter. It's strict liability. You don't have to prove intent or bad will. They just have to prove that you did it. So if you did it, you're guilty of it, and there's not an excuse.
It's an extenuating circumstance,
right?
But it's not
right. So my point is, with most strict liability offenses, as long as they can prove you did it, we're looking to minimize the damages because we're not going to get them dismissed. So in a case like yours, my first advice to you would be go get the fucking endorsement. Go pay the tax. Get the endorsement.
He's already signed up for the class.
No, I understand. So get the class done. Get that stamp. I'll delay court as long as I can. Go get that done as quickly as you can, and then I'll take a photocopy of it. I'll email it to the prosecuting attorney and say, "Hey, look,
even my receipt
endorsement now. 9 times out of 10, they'll agree to dismiss it." Mm-hmm.
So on his appearance on December, now he has a date. This is the earliest you can look on the computer. Mm-hmm. The earliest date he can get, and you said they gave you a year. Right? Here's why. He can't get his endorsement until December 18th or 17th, something like that. He's got to go to
it's like
4 days and 5 hours.
It's 5 hours.
And that's why I think there's actually a due process issue in his case. And I briefly looked up the law before we came on air. The law allows a 100-day grace period after you've taken the course to getting your endorsement.
After you take
the course. But it doesn't... The law is, it's not as specific as I think it should be written, because what does that grace period mean? And I understand he hadn't taken the course yet, but he had signed up for it.
What's he supposed to do? Wait months and months before he can go to work or anything? He bought the vehicle for work.
How is he supposed to perform the class without a motorcycle? Because you
need a motorcycle. Right.
The government can't require these private businesses like Harley Davidson, where you can go to take these classes. They can't require them to allow people to walk in off the street that have never ridden a motorcycle before and start doing road tests on their motorcycles that they own. And the government certainly isn't issuing Harleys to people to take these tests on and take these classes on. So I think there's a due process issue there that could be argued that the law is invalid as the way that it's written. Do you win that at the trial level in misdemeanor court? Absolutely not. But you may win that on appeal. And you may have a case named after you, which is kind of cool.
I was just going to say, get arrested. I don't get arrested taking vacation.
My thing was also is they allow the state of Florida allowed me to register in my name, plate the motorcycle in my name, which means I'm not a dealer. I'm not a dealership. Right. It's in my name. Right. So you would expect me to hop on the motorcycle and drive it away.
Yeah, because something interesting.
The more you keep talking about it, the more I understand what it is. Although I think you could buy a motorcycle and I can't let you use it.
Yeah, well, so I'd have to look into this, but I'm pretty confident to register a car.
Yeah,
a valid driver's license.
Valid. That's exact.
But he has a valid driver's license.
That's the thing. To plate the license.
Not valid for a motorcycle.
Right, well, he has no endorsement. I don't even know the word. I even got down to this. The word endorsement is not. How is that so legal? It's somebody saying, he can drive. Yeah. It's not a
And when you look up the statute, it's all private companies. This is not associated with DHS.
That's why it's so hard.
It's a private company. So they're trusting. That's not surprising under Florida law. Look at, if you get a DUI and you've got to take the DUI level 1 or level 2 class with the substance abuse evaluation and any follow-up treatment, you're doing that with Florida Safety Council. They're a private company.
My program's a private company.
I would have been totally okay with
technically,
all of this.
right. They still do my program here.
Right. But you're not licensing anybody, right? You're counseling, and on occasion you'll go into court and testify on someone's behalf based on your interactions with them during that counseling. But you're not going in and stamping a document that says that now they're now a licensed counselor.
What I do, they get a certificate of completion they have to bring to the clerk of the court.
Right, because that's part of their sentence. But you don't have the lawful authority to license them to do something.
No, right, no.
Require some kind of a license, right? Like you don't get to stamp a piece of paper saying they're now a medical doctor under Florida law.
In his case, let's go to his case.
In his case, I think there's a due process issue with you.
I'd love to see a Nathan Balcom versus the state of Florida.
Yeah, taking your driver's license in there to register it and them not catching it then. Hey, we can't register this because you don't have an endorsement. And it doesn't make any sense.
It says I had to have a valid driver's license to register and plate my bike.
Right.
Not anything about an endorsement.
And it should be in some way. They know it.
Because the DMV is so picky about everything, I would have thought that if I had done everything right, they would give me my plate.
Right.
And if I didn't have something, they would have been like, why are you here?
And that's why
like you said, give you a grace period.
This is why so many of these arguments become like cyclical, and you have to kind of spoon feed them to the judge sometimes to make them understand your point of view.
Oh, I want to spoon feed him, Jason.
Yeah.
I want to go down there.
I've been trying to spoon feed him for 2 weeks, and it's hard.
So he's got to have a motorcycle to get it registered, right? He's got to have a motorcycle to take the class. How
go to work, do anything.
How's he supposed to get the motorcycle to the tag office? How's he supposed to get the motorcycle to
home when I buy it?
To get it.
And if a judge ever said take an Uber, I would not want to deal.
How am I supposed to get it home when I buy it?
Motorcycle trailer.
Yeah.
How do you get the motorcycle to the fucking class?
Or how do I get it home? How do I get it home when I buy it?
Right, if they played him.
And again, this is where I went back to grace period. And I've got to look it up.
Now, you've never seen this, have you?
Yeah, no, I've never seen a criminal case like this before, but it was my understanding, and this is years ago, but it was my understanding that there was a grace period for motorcycle endorsements.
Since they don't have a learner's permit. Right. It's not like you could go in like a car.
Exactly. Yeah. In order to get the endorsement, you have to have a valid driver's license.
That's regular
driver's
license. And he's got that.
Else. There's not a separate license.
He knows the rules of the road, Jason.
Right.
That's what the license is for.
Right.
All the endorsement says is, I know how to clutch and I know how to ride a bike, and without falling over.
I know how to do it safely on the road, which you would think is a right that he should, or something he should be able to waive because it's for his protection, not the rest of us.
True. And also,
a car that hits him isn't dying.
Matter of fact, that is why in the state of Florida you do not need insurance on a motorcycle.
And also, they're
you know that, right?
Yes. Part of their oath was like my best judgment, and your best judgment was that you saw my ID and it's 6 hours away.
We're going to go into that in a minute.
Best judgment.
I want to go with Jason on a couple of things. So Jason, on December 4th, he goes for his arraignment.
Right.
He got to make it. Can he do that telephonically, you think?
I don't think they'll let him do it telephonically. They wouldn't hear.
I meant over.
The judge wants to see you, but they should let him do it by Teams. Judges here would do it. So again, I can't speak to the judges down there, but here they would absolutely allow somebody from out of town to appear by Teams. Usually, you have an attorney enter your notice of appearance. They do a written waiver of arraignment or waiver of appearance for him, and a written notice of not guilty. So,
but then you have to appear.
No.
Most of the attorneys have to appear for you.
Here in Brevard County, I don't have to appear if I do it in writing, but I've got to do it before the date of the arraignment. Down there, they may have different court rules that may require the attorney to appear. They may want all defendants to appear.
It blows me away because I even think deeper in this case. How about being from Vermont? You went on a trip, you did a 5-day trip with your buddies and this. You live in Vermont. You're supposed to now come back from Vermont? So
here, yes, yeah.
I know it is. But this is a misdemeanor.
Yeah, that's why you've got to hire an attorney, and it sucks. It especially sucks because you're coming back from vacation, you're broke. You just blew your savings on your vacation.
He made great points.
And hire me, and that's one of the things that we do in my office is tourist defense, and that's
what is it called?
Tourist.
Tourist.
We get a lot of people off the cruise ships. They get arrested on a cruise ship, and
I did,
and a lot of people do. And by the way, there's a new law in Florida. And when I say new, I mean probably newer than when you got arrested.
Oh yeah, way newer.
It's a few years old, but essentially what it says is there's no international waters anymore. If you get on a boat in Florida, doesn't matter where the fuck it goes, how many ports of call it docks at, as long as that boat comes back to Florida, anything you do while you're away from Florida falls under Florida jurisdiction. You can be prosecuted for it.
Oh, and I bet they prosecute.
I think I'll tell you why. Back in 1995, I think it was. I went away in 95, so 96 is, man, it's been long. It was about 2 years before I go away. Maybe 93, whatever. I don't know. I have a warrant out for my arrest. Listen, when you're a gangster, you got warrants a lot of times.
Right.
I didn't know this. I took a girl on a cruise. I did not know. I was followed. I was watched on that cruise ship, everything. Thank God I had a little coke. I threw that off the ship. At the end of the day, the whole works. I was partying. Yeah. And they knocked on my door at 6 a.m. because the ship port is in port already. I'm still sleeping, waiting, because you get up to go pay your bar bill and all that.
Right.
And they knock on the door, room steward, I open it up. Bam! They open that door and they slam it, and you're in the the whole works. I'm in cuffs. There was 3 of us off that ship that were arrested. Went to Dade County. Oh, this was 92. It was during Hurricane Andrew. That's what I remember. And we're talking. I didn't even have anybody. I didn't know nobody's number. You had to know a 305 number to make a call back then. And I was in Fort Lauderdale, which wasn't 305. I think whatever it was. And I couldn't get somebody until they transferred me back to Broward County. And my whole crew was looking for me. What did he do? Did he get killed? They're looking everywhere. What happened was, and I did not know this, that they run everybody's name when you go on a cruise ship.
Yep.
And I didn't know that. Everybody's name gets run. So if you have a warrant, don't go on a cruise ship, anybody.
Right.
Now, and is there a way to check if you have a warrant?
Usually not. Because they don't want you to know that there's a warrant, then you go on the run.
Obviously, we know Nick's got a warrant.
Yeah, so there's a database where you can look up warrants, but they usually only show ones that have already been publicly filed.
And if it wasn't for Larry, I would not have known where to go, or I would have just sat there and just waited for an email. Or I would have called them back, and we got the
Most people don't know that you can look up your case on a clerk of court's website.
That's what I know.
All the things that get filed on a case, that's public information. There's things that, in some cases that have to be redacted, names of kids, things like that. But for the most part, every document that's filed in a criminal case, or even in the most civil cases, has to be filed by the clerk of court. We have this law in Florida that regulates clerk of court websites. They have to have public access. For things that need to be redacted, they have to have special logins for attorneys, but only the attorney of record on those cases can actually pull up the unredacted stuff. Very specific laws. But I
have Pacer and all that myself. I have all that.
I let my Pacer lapse a long time ago. That was the most un-user-friendly.
I have a question.
But I got to know it, and when you got to know it, you can run it. It's funny what he's saying is like... amazing what you first of all you can find. That's how I found who was ratting, who was this, who got 5K1, 5K. We got a Rule 35, and I knew how to read the law, so it was over.
Because it's verb, or it's not. It's vocab. The vocabulary.
See, he doesn't know vocab.
The vocab he was using against me I was just like, okay, misdemeanor. Sorry, it's like so easy to you guys. Yeah. But when he was saying misdemeanor, I was just like, cool, like I've had misdemeanor? I've been pulled over going 95 in a 40. So let's, and
listen, I
was like, okay, cool.
I have highly intelligent people walk in my office and they've got a criminal charge, like a DUI or something like that. And they'll tell me, I don't care what kind of deal you can get me. I just don't want it to be a felony. And I'll explain, well, it's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor. Yeah. It's your first offense DUI. You
can still have a gun.
But they think the word felony means criminal charges and misdemeanor means civil charges.
I never knew that.
Exactly. We know
that was me. That was me.
Big misconception.
Like, a misdemeanor is just something like a speeding ticket.
I want to, this is a really interesting case. I think it's one of, I want to do something with you, Jason. I
have a question.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to stay on this case.
Okay.
I want you and I want to change this law. And I know it takes a lot. Yeah. I'm involved in that, and I am going to get this platform and everything. I can't understand because this kid could have been homeless, could have lost his job, if he didn't have me helping him and the business we're
That's
in.
someone else, because I did. That's what I brought up. I was
And he
like,
said, "You get a kid.
Anyone
he's
else? Any 90% of kids in my 27-year-olds, 99% of them, if that would have happened to them, which also would have been me, if I didn't have this like 1% chance that Larry was with me, kids don't have parents who are out of state who can just be like, here's my credit card, baby.
Yep.
You know, guess
They're not
what?
the rich
My
kid.
mom,
You know,
would have been like, holy shit, give me like 3 days to beg people for money so I can get down there to take your bike out and help you get home because you can't drive it home. You know, like my mom lives in Missouri.
Yeah,
and I mean,
you're lucky you had somebody that could get your
which
bike
is
out
an
of
insane,
the damn impound
which
lot.
no one else had will have if they were in that same.
Yeah.
No one has a YouTuber who's who's like, oh, let's go do something fun.
Yeah.
So if he wasn't there, I wouldn't have known one person in the state.
And
I don't
he
even
had no
know
money.
I don't even know what a
does he
misdemeanor
do?
is.
Yeah.
I don't
You really
know.
got me, Jason. I don't
know
get
what
like
a
that.
misdemeanor
Not
is.
because of him.
No, I mean, no,
he
it's-
can handle. I told him get arrested.
Oh, I can handle. That's the thing.
You break your chair, you go to jail.
I
Keep
can
your mouth
handle
shut.
myself.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I can handle myself. If he wasn't there and it happened to me, cool. I would have got screwed over. But I'm not worried about me. But now, like,
you were homeless.
We're homeless on the street.
But me, I'm good. But that's when I like really started getting angry. When I was like, oh my god, this is how panhandlers are made. And I was like,
I mean, it's one of the ways, but yeah.
I was like,
it's
well,
the whole
panhandlers
thing
like,
is
oh,
like,
they
this
took
is-
it all from me.
It's
I had it all, and
it's
then
the
they
way
took
honest panhandlers are made.
Yeah.
Because 1 out of every 10,000 of them
And
is
that-
actually honestly needing a little bit of money to
See?
get a bus ticket.
Drug. There's issues there.
That's what clicked with me because I never had any sympathy for anyone begging on the street until I was like, oh, there might be 1% of them who actually told me the truth.
Yeah.
Well, when they tell me the truth, they're on drugs. I give them double.
I would, yeah.
I do. Yeah, I want to be.
You don't allegedly. You don't give anyone.
Oh yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
Supposed to say allegedly.
Yeah.
But Jason,
Hypothetically.
I really think in the case, and it has happened. If it happened to him this way, it has happened already. And with my program, and my program, the reality check program, which is widely known, it's in courts, it's everywhere. Going to St. Louis, that's where
It
we
is a
went for
crazy
business.
coincidence that he was right next to me when all this dumb stuff happened.
Yeah.
And I look at this and I say, this is what I preach. I hate to say word preach at all. This is what I educate against.
Yeah.
To agencies, to chiefs of police, to mayors. My program is used in a lot of cities and stuff, and mayors endorse them, everything. The government endorsed my program. Literally, the federal government. I'm recognized on the floor of the United States Congress for this. And I look at this and I say, wait a minute. I'm trying to teach them, and the police themselves, and I guess start with the police, and now the court, is doing the exact opposite. I mean, to screw somebody. And he works for this program, so I can't sit here and do nothing.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And
I just want to mule me whether I need help to write it up the right way.
Really?
Yeah, no. I can't write things for somebody else to file pro se.
I know.
But you and I will put our heads together. We'll figure something out. If the court down there will allow me to appear remotely, I'll just handle the case. But if not, I've got a great guy down there. He's big on online promotion, so we throw a little banner on your Facebook page.
He'll take care of it. Yeah, I'll help him a lot.
And by the way, this guy's got he's got a shark on his business card. And
where's the shark? You know what I say.
Kind of like special forces, once they've cleared out a bunker, they leave their calling card. When this guy wins a jury trial, he slaps his calling card on the prosecutor's table, like you just got your ass kicked by.
I love him. I love the guy already.
This guy's amazing.
We'll promote him.
Love him. His name's Michael Adam Haber.
We'll talk about
he's
that.
He's in Miami. I'll get you all of his information.
And he must handle the keys. That's what they do.
Yeah, my guess is that he does.
Well, because it's not all the way either. So it's like mile marker 80, which is in the. Not even it's past. It's closer to Miami.
Yeah, I'll get his info. If the judge want to let me do it remotely, we'll get him in.
Let me ask you a question, because at this point I'm wanting him to handle it in his own way because he's learning the process.
Yeah.
This is a major learning experience for Nick, and it's not just terminology. You're right. Terminology will screw these kids up.
Not just terminology, procedure, and this is
procedure already did.
Yeah,
I did not know.
This is where I can't tell you how many people have come into my office, and it's usually over like a domestic violence injunction or something like that. They'll come into my office and they'll show me a video. Like I had a guy literally show me video after video of his girlfriend, his baby mama, beating the shit out of him. And this is like a big, tough dude, and
he's just taking it.
He's reduced to a pussycat, and he's just crying and like, "Why are you hitting me? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" And he's got it all on film, unprovoked. She's just a psycho chick, right? She files an injunction against him when she gets a new baby daddy and new boyfriend. A new boyfriend's scared of baby daddy, right? So she files for an injunction against this guy, and he goes to court and he tries to show the judge the video. Like, look, she's not scared of me. She's the one that beats me up. And the judge wouldn't let him introduce the video because he hadn't set a proper predicate. He didn't
give it to the prosecutor.
That would have been me.
So procedure, and so by the way, so he lost the case, and now he's got this injunction against him, and he comes in, what do I do? And it's too late. There's nothing we can do about it at this point. But this is what I see when people either don't hire the right lawyer or they try to represent themselves, is they get procedurally barred from introducing evidence, from making specific arguments.
Time barred, things
And
like that.
Time bar is a big thing. On a weekly basis, I have somebody calling wanting to appeal. And, well, it's been more than 30 days since you were convicted, so we can't appeal. It's been more than 2 years since your attorney fucked you over, so we can't file post-conviction relief.
Right.
So time bars are important, and procedural bars. Those are things that you don't want to go into court unless you understand.
The reason you hire an attorney, like what he's saying.
But people go to court just because they know they have to go to court.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Nick has no idea what to do.
Right? It's better going and not knowing anything is still better than nothing.
Than not going, yes.
There are really friendly judges, and I won't name names here because technically they're not supposed to do it, but we have really friendly judges.
I love our judge. You know it. I know him.
Yeah, and the one we were talking about before we went on the air. Well, that judge will absolutely give someone common sense guidance if they're in there without an attorney.
We watch on TV, right?
That's where I really started learning where even the judge was like, if you want to defend yourself and you're not using the right words, you're screwed.
Really
and that's they're really not supposed to give people guidance and advice like that, but people don't know that until they get in there and they get denied, or they're denied the relief they're looking for because they didn't know how to do it. So it's good that we have some judges that are like, listen, this is common sense. I'm not helping you. I'm not telling you what argument to make. I'm not telling you what questions you should ask that person.
Here's the book.
Common sense is not common to a lot of people.
Here's what page 74 of that book says. So here's how, it's one of the things that, like, John and I, when it comes to legal practice, with us being laid back, we're laid back in the courtroom too. I never.
But you got experience.
Yeah. You
got to remember that.
You've got to know how to do it. But I like things to be as relaxed as possible. I hate all the stiff, tie all the way up shit.
I always agree with you because I look at a judge or anybody. I don't give a shit who you are. And I've just spoke in front of Congress. The biggest place there.
Right.
I look out there and I say, they all put their pants on like me. They're all human beings. They want to hear the way you are, how you are. That's how you got where you are.
Right.
Just tell it. You know what? If it doesn't work, me, I got a different mindset. I was in the hole for 3 years, in prison for fucking a dozen years. You think I'd give a shit if they put me in the county jail?
Right.
That would be like a fucking vacation.
Yeah, you'd run the place inside of 48 hours.
Oh, exactly. But it's not even that. Here's my point with it's still more and more in this case, and explaining to you now as not only my attorney, but as the attorney for our people. That's what he really is. Jason's opening your eyes, especially with Florida. But a lot of the laws kind of cross state lines. Right. In a way, he wouldn't tell you that that's what to do. But in the state of Florida, he could do that. Are you in a bar in any other states?
No, just the federal district. But
the big boys.
Yeah. So what I tell people is, I can give you legal advice in Florida. I can explain the law in other states, but I can't give you advice.
I say that, my buddy with the legal consulting firm, we're not lawyers.
Right.
We're just going to give you advice.
Yep.
It can't be consulting.
Right.
But I am really apt. I want to change this because I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this is a misdemeanor. I really can't because the rules are law. It's very and I know a lot of politicians up there in Washington. I mean Tallahassee too. Yeah. When you explain this case, and I am going to do it one way or the other, whether it's in the court in front of everybody, I want the public to see why young people are pissed at the cops, why he did the right thing by registering. He's not a runner. to let everybody know out there, go to YouTube, look at motorcycle runners. They're all over the place. It's
Right.
a
I have
thing.
something to say about that one.
Okay, they don't plate their bikes. They never get, what do you do? Chase a guy 190 miles an hour? No, they don't.
Yeah.
And I tried to make him do the right thing. So part of me is like, if this kid never plated it, right? He's gone. He's done. It's going to cost him thousands of, court hearing, now going back, losing days of work, whatever.
Like,
I'm going to take care of that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I ran, here's the thing. If I ran and got caught, I would still be dealing with the exact same bullshit.
You know that. You've seen guys that don't plates run.
Not if they turn their lights and sirens on, because then it's a felony.
It's okay. And to me, I'm still dealing with all these warrants over my head. It's still the
What's
same
that,
thing.
$10,000
And
bond
here's the
on
thing.
misdemeanor?
I've never seen that.
Here's my just real quick story. To me, the gamble has always been worth it.
Right.
On my $2,000 bike.
Yeah.
Just gambling, and the gamble's going to work out. Gamble it, higher percentage, it will work out. Or if you pull over for not using a blinker, they're still going to take your bike,
Right.
and you're going to be screwed for a long time.
Listen.
And then I grew up.
I tried to make him grow
You
up.
tried to do the right thing.
Because I wanted to. I really did.
Yeah,
I really wanted to.
My favorite cop is my dad. He's a
cop?
Yeah, my dad's a cop.
Is he alive?
Yeah.
Tell him, wish him well. Good cops, and I know
Yeah, he's still a cop.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a lieutenant with the SO. So
right here, Sheriff's Office?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he-
and his name's Downs?
Yeah.
Oh, if I see him, I gotta say hello.
You guys would actually have a lot to talk about. He does a lot of special programs for the sheriff's office, and we'll talk about later.
Absolutely.
But, I'll never forget the time he told me about some kid test driving some really souped up crotch rocket, and he's on Ellis Road, and I mean this guy was like screaming.
Oh.
But that was
So-
before everything.
Well, so my dad lights him up,
Yeah.
and the guy stops, and my dad's first question to him was, "Why'd you fucking stop? I would have never caught you."
That's what.
And
He said that. I love your dad already.
And I
Right?
like when my dad
Yeah.
told me that story, I'd never thought about that before. And this is long before I was an attorney. And then
did you even
I didn't know they were called runners, but I eventually became aware of, so I knew about club bikes, right? So, guys that are in like 1%er type MCs.
I know many of them.
Yeah, you don't want a distinguishable bike because that's the easiest way somebody to identify. The guy that shot up the store was on the hot pink with the chrome ape hanger.
Yeah, the ape hanger,
So
right.
they all have bikes that look similar. They're indistinguishable. But I didn't know about the not plating as part of a culture,
It's a thing.
essentially, right? I've had many clients that have told me I always run. This is the one time they caught me because I crashed,
And then it was worth the gamble.
And they all say the same thing. So
Isn't that crazy? I'm trying to make
Larry,
the convict
really quick.
who's got a
Larry,
record.
Yeah.
That's what stings. And what stings was like, I was so comfortable pulling over,
Because he thought he was
You're being a grown-up.
even though my bones were like, he's after Larry, and you just pulled over, you idiot.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was like, I'm good. This is like my first time ever feeling good on a bike. I wasn't.
Boy,
Every
that
other time I
destroyed
hopped
that.
on a bike, no matter what,
You're nervous.
I'm
They're gonna
nervous.
see me without a plate.
On a
you didn't watch it. I watched them all.
at red lights.
They're around here. Look around.
This one
Let's see 'em.
time,
Yeah.
I was finally like, I'm good. What's he gonna do? Give me a speeding ticket?
They put their plate like this, too, in a rocket. Up like this.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
It would have,
You'll
Cost-
I know guys don't even plate
That
it.
makes sense.
and it would have also costed me less if somehow I would have had the endorsement but never registered it or got a plate on it. It's not a
it really-
misdemeanor.
it boggles
doesn't
my
make
mind.
any sense.
Right.
How does not registering and having a plate with your first and last name on the back not the misdemeanor?
I wonder if not having the chauffeur
Endorsement.
but driving a limo, I wonder if that's a criminal offense. I've got to look that up.
Oh,
Because
my
there's,
God.
there's a really good.
Is there a chauffeur? Do you have
Yeah, you got to have.
I owned a limo. I never had it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you can buy a
got
limo.
it. Sam would be a good person to answer that. I think he used to own a limo service.
I did. I
was
owned
so
it. But it was all
comfortable.
for me and my friends were dope.
Yeah. Well,
I was
And of
so-
course, get in a limo and they go gamble.
And I
go
knew.
women, and that's all pieces.
I
of
always knew. I was like, okay, at least we're riding with someone who has a license plate. I'm good.
To end this show, I want to. Okay, his December 4th. Does he just go in and plead not guilty?
yes.
Period. Just that's the only word you're going to say.
Period. The only way that I would encourage him not to do that is if he's already completed the class and got his endorsement, and shown it to the state, and the state says,
Dropping
we'll,
that.
we'll
of
dismiss
course.
this, or we'll reduce it to a no valid DL, which is just a civil citation. If they did that, I'd say take that and go ahead and enter a negotiated plea at that point. But anything other than that might be worth fighting. Here's something to keep in mind.
I want to fight it. I don't mean it's his.
I want to fight it. I want to fight this.
I will fight it with the other guy, and I'll give him more exposure than he'll ever have.
My brother got injured.
So I know that one of the things you like about me is that I'll fight every case tooth and nail.
Only if it's right.
Sometimes you have to curtail your client's expectations, and sometimes you got to rein in the fight. In a case like this, in a county like that, if he loses, he's not going to win on appeal. And if he doesn't win on appeal, going to the state Supreme Court, that's under certiorari. They don't have to take that case, and they don't take most cases. Right? So,
but see, I'm digging a different.
Yeah, so a win in this case may be just getting it down to a civil and being done with it, and then we change the law by going to our local legislatures and explaining why this is an issue.
Is that what's going to get me to vote? Am I going to vote?
Also, Jason, on that is my thought. And now, again, we're using Nick as a pawn. I hate to say that. Right. But my thing is, the exposure of screwing a person and getting this on every platform Huh?
I don't. Maybe we should just talk about that after the court.
No, I'm asking because people want to know this. People who are watching want to know, what do I do if this happens in Florida? I got a lot of Florida people, What do they do? I get it. I said, please, everybody out there, go plate your thing. I don't think you should not plate it.
And I also think, although I thought that.
I know that.
Days,
so my point is it worth? You don't know, but am I going to run into a person with common sense? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
You are screwing a person and literally taking his life. Literally could ruin a person's life.
Yeah.
Over. And even the word endorsement, I got to look it up. An endorsement, it's not a license. He's got that.
Right.
It's not like he didn't have a license, so he knows the rules of the road.
So let me explain, because there are people out there that are watching this right now that think you're being dramatic by saying you could ruin someone's life over.
I'm not being dramatic.
But I'm going to explain why you're not being dramatic.
Good, thank you.
I would have thought so.
So you're thinking just a civil citation with a low-level misdemeanor. How's that going to ruin someone's life? One of the fastest ways good people become felons in the state of Florida is traffic infractions. They are enhanced penalty offenses, right? So every time you get one, the penalties go up, and eventually
traffic citation.
Eventually, you get your driver's license suspended.
Yeah, after 10 points.
Because you have to work and you have to get your kids to school and you have to get groceries. At some point, when you get caught driving without a license, now you've got a criminal offense, and at some point, if you get caught driving without a license 3 times, it becomes a felony. I've had clients that have done prison time. I'm not talking Brevard County Jail. I'm talking DOC, Department of Corrections.
So they got over a year.
And pound you in the ass prison for driving offenses where they didn't kill anybody, they weren't in crashes.
That is me, right?
It happens. It's one of the fastest ways to become a fucking felon is by messing up with driving stuff. So when I say you're not being dramatic by saying something like this could ruin someone's life, it absolutely can put them on the path to having a fucked up life and becoming a convicted felon.
Even that, I am going one step more. He doesn't appear. He's got a warrant out for him. He's now.
That's what he's just saying.
Yeah, but now what happens if he runs again? Or he has a joint in the
What if he gets shot while they're executing their warrant?
And
that's one deeper.
What if your dog over here? What if Morty barks when some fucking cop comes through the door to arrest him? Do you think they're going to wait for you to calm Morty down, or do you think Morty's getting fucking shot?
I have to.
There are a lot of ramifications, and I'm sorry, I should have used a hypothetical dog. I'm sorry, Morty. These things happen. This is why. Thankfully, our sheriff's office here uses very experienced cops when it comes to serving warrants. Very experienced senior level deputies are the ones that are doing the warrant sweeps and that kind of stuff. You you have to have a special mentality to be the kind of cop that's doing warrant sweeps. You don't want somebody that's trigger happy. You don't want somebody that's got a short fuse, that kind of stuff, because things like that happen. It's one of the most dangerous situations a cop can be in, other than traffic stops.
I have to butt in.
Can they come in?
They can go anywhere they have reasonable suspicion that he's at.
Yeah, I have to butt in here right now.
No, they're not.
I know.
I'll tell you this: they're not kicking in a door on a bench warrant. A bench warrant is a little bit different than an arrest warrant. Arrest warrant, if they've got reasonable suspicion he's in somewhere, they can kick in the door, search everything, trying to find the person. A bench warrant is a judge commanding law enforcement to bring this person to me. It's slightly below an arrest warrant, so they're not going to kick in your door.
But when they'll
knock on it, they'll ask for him, and if you tell him he's not here and he is, then you've picked up a criminal charge. So the best thing to do if they knock and you don't want to turn yourself in is just don't fucking answer the door.
I tell everybody.
Which a lot of people think they have to answer.
No, they do not. That's why you have ring.
Police.
I did it.
But not only that, Jason. I look at that and I know they're not going to come at it. I mean, but when you start looking at the case and reading what this thing is and not pulling the warrant at $10,000, it boggles my mind. You already we said we approve. I mean, we wanted the date, and they can go back and say he was never time barred, so to speak, if you want to call it that. Like in prison, if you do something, you can mail it. Once it's mailed, it's legal. It's legally filed. You know, whether it gets there or not, you will have another shot to do it.
Which is like the fucked up thing about the mailbox rule. But yes, the minute, and all you have to do is attest.
Exactly. Absolutely right. You write that on your. Actually, a lot of my motion would write.
Yeah, your certificate of service. And then if you're doing mailbox rule, and I actually just learned this today because I don't do the civil stuff, Tyler in my office that handles civil matters actually just had to file an affidavit with the court today that he served something by U.S. mail, a completely separate affidavit, just attesting to the fact that this was put in the mail a couple weeks ago.
Well, and obviously once you either represent yourself, pro se, or you, of course, you are an officer of the court,
right?
So you cannot lie,
right?
Even a person who's not supposed to lie, because if you start filing frivolous stuff, you're going to get barred and all that kind of stuff. I can go into that. Nick's case, the only thing I look at is, okay, we'll talk off air how to handle, but I don't want this just to go away. I don't mean that to be against Nick.
No, neither do I.
I want this to show all you guys out there, this can not only happen to you on nothing. So it's hurting me inside because I teach, do the right thing.
Right.
And now what?
That's why I really started getting so adamant, because I was like, dude, if you were not right here, I would literally be in jail within a couple months. I would be if I would have a felony, and literally, this is so real. I would
by the way, when they posted that warrant online, they didn't do you the courtesy of mailing you a copy.
Yeah.
No.
And the two scenarios, Larry, just really quick, think back about the two things, like the two scenarios the hypotheticals, where it's like, oh, he could have got shot over something stupid, or he could have killed his dog. I have told Larry these two exact things in St. Louis. The Ferguson riots. During the Ferguson riots, I got pulled over. It was me and two other friends, and I had a dirty Cavalier. So there's a bunch of papers all over where my feet are, and the cop kept going, "What is that? What is that? What is that?" And I kept shuffling my feet with a bunch of papers. I don't know. Well, pick it up. No, pick it up.
Yeah, I'm not ready for shit with you standing there.
Well, guess what? I think I have to listen. I picked it up, and I've never heard a buckle like so loud in my life. And then I looked up, and I was like, sorry. He's like, I could kill you.
So many times.
No one's going to say anything. I'm not brag, but that did happen. Yeah. And then I was 21, I had to shoulder roll a cop because the gate was open, and Morty came running out. Not aggressive, and he pulled his gun. And I was like, no, not him. So those two exact things literally have happened.
I just posted on Facebook yesterday or the day before, some cop, and it's in another state, I think it was Kentucky, maybe Tennessee. No, Tennessee. It was in Memphis, Tennessee.
Meth capital of the world.
Cop gets arrested for shooting and killing like 7 or 8 dogs at some guy's house.
In the backyard, fenced.
Inside the trailer. He went there for an animal welfare check.
Wow.
Knocks on the door. Nobody answers because nobody's home. Cop lets himself in. no warrant.
Oh, wow. There you go. I was just going to
And
say.
he just starts walking around executing this guy's dogs. When the guy gets home, he finds all his dead dogs. Cop's not even there.
Oh, my God.
The neighbors had to tell him.
Can we get body cam footage?
The
of
neighbors
this?
had to tell him. No, a cop went in there and we heard a bunch of shots. And this guy's he's talking to local news and he's like, "Look, right here in my truck, I've got their vet reports. They're all healthy. I just took all my
Healthy, rabies.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's no reason for it. The cop's been arrested. He's charged with felony animal cruelty. But this happens. You know, it's not all cops are
No, I support good cops.
Yeah, most cops, especially around here, are really, really good cops. I've seen some really bad ones that should not be allowed to be cops. But you don't expect that things like that are going to happen. But when they're arresting somebody because they want to make it home to their own kids and their own wives and husbands,
I agree with that. Yeah,
they are at a heightened sense or heightened state of excitement.
Yeah.
They're making sure that they're preserving their safety first, which that's human nature. So any little thing that you do or that your pet does or that
and Morty's intimidating.
God forbid your fucking car backfires while a cop's standing at your window.
Do you know I was swatted?
No, I
You know what swatted is?
Swatting is. I did not know that you were swatted.
I was at 1:40 in the morning. They called. I got the tapes because I
you
noticed
beating some kid on Call of Duty or something.
No, listen to this. No, I was
Just-
in here.
just in views.
I had a glass bar right here, and I'm putting the glass bar together. Just got here to take care of my mom. YouTube, so this is maybe 22. I'm pretty, YouTube, pretty popular on YouTube, and I didn't even know what swatting was. And all of a sudden, I'm in here, and I hear Larry Lawton, and nobody's here. 1:40 in the morning. I'm literally putting together the bar. I'm a late night guy.
Yeah.
I thought I went to my computer right there, and I opened the door. Lasers were all over my head, my body. I looked down. Don't move, we'll shoot. Don't move. I got all the reports. They had 15 cops, dogs, everything. They shut down this main street. They got a call because I went to the chief, and I know everybody. And they had me walk out, put me in cuffs. Now, Jason, I don't want to be in cuffs. I've had enough of that. There's a PTSD there, real bad.
Yeah.
I'm freaking. Now they're not telling me. All my friends from Lansing and all they say, "Oh, you all crazy. You've got things in and you're yelling and screaming because you're nuts." I mean, it's a reaction. They had me on my knees, back, the whole works. They get me and I'm screaming, "What is going on? And I got my mom. I'm worried about my mom." I said, "My mother's in there." That's all. I take care of my mom.
Yeah.
I have 2 cats and dog. I says, "He's in. Nobody." They went through this house, obviously. I found out later I could have had 10 kilos of coke on this desk and they couldn't have did shit or nothing about it. Literally couldn't have did. They can't even go get a warrant for that. And I was talking about a guy who knows a warrant lawyer.
Right.
Says they could not because that's a safety check and anything they see, another judge won't give them a warrant for that. Just like if you have a key in your garbage pail. Now they're going to get a warrant for that.
Right.
Because that's different.
I would disagree with what that lawyer told you. There's case law out there all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court that anything they see in plain view.
Yes, if they're let in.
So how'd they get in?
They came in.
With no consent?
No consent or nothing. They did it for a safety check because it was the house's warrant. The house was warrant that there was a guy in here with 2 older people with gun. He had a Glock for you and a bomb, and he wanted $10,000.
All right. So
obviously, they came in for that.
Yeah.
And like he said, yes, absolutely. It's called the plain sight doctrine.
Yeah.
If that's why you never let a cop in your house. I tell people all the time. You walk out and talk to them. Yep. You never let a cop. I don't care what they say. You walk out. I know that with the FBI. The feds, I know. And they came in to make sure. They even put in a report. Elderly woman, breathing. They looked at her. She never got up, my mother. Believe it or not. Jason, she never got up. I freaked out. I went to went to the chief the next day. I'm going to send it to you. They gave me the tape because I want to know if I got hear their voice. They gave me the tape. They gave me the transcripts. That's why I know how many cops, everything. And I was friends with the chief. I know them. I'm very good with them. If they're good, I'm good. Period. End of story. And he said, Larry, he goes, I said, listen, now you said what you said. You don't have to apologize. They did what they did. Now my attorney said, the other guy with the D goes, if they do that again, you go on a list now. If they do that again, you can make a lot of money because now they're supposed to know. In other words, I hate to say celebrity shit. they notice somebody of influence there that this has happened. Because it happens to YouTubers all the time, doesn't it? Connect.
So when he told me the story, I was like, oh, it happened to you too. Okay, so this is what everyone else has been doing. You have to anytime
all these lists they've got.
Yeah, anytime you move, you have to contact your local police department or whoever's running the area and say, this is what I do. If you get any crazy calls, call me first.
Call me first. Try it.
Call twice.
I asked the chief. I said, let me ask you a question. They would have broke into if I wasn't up. I'm in my bed now. I can sleep like listen. What I have here is my business. Just leave it at that as a felon.
Right.
If I got up and I'm gonna and I go after somebody with a stick or a bat or whatever, they shoot me. That has happened. That's why Actually, what they told me is if you get swatted at night, it's actually a higher charge to the person if they catch them. They don't catch them. They're in Europe.
Has any of them got caught?
I have never. Well, I did hear a
like
few.
Like the dumb ones,
I've
like
seen,
the
I've
actual
seen a few that weren't
who
using
called
VPNs or
from their own phone.
Right.
Yeah,
because they sent my stuff to the FBI.
It's completely impossible.
Also, because I find out so many things. If you have 1 million followers, the FBI watches you, all this shit, and everything. Because Nick even actually
I have a
told
question
me that
for you, actually.
Because he told me, he goes, all the guys with 1 million, then you have too much influence. The FBI actually monitors you.
So
that's shocking. It's not shocking.
My question.
There's not many. There's only 5,000, 7,000.
My question is with him, and I know the cops have to do their job because it could have been true, but the guy called the cops to get ransom money out of the cops. Like, hey, I have these 2 people kidnapped.
And you should say, wait till
if you don't pay me, I'm going to kill them. Who calls the cops for ransom money? So at that point, well, you got to do your job, cop. But what could they put in place where it's like, because the guy could have been mental, all this stuff, but like, who's calling the cops for ransom money?
Well, I mean, that's how every ransom has ever happened, right? They bank robbers and.
I thought they just
send in some pizzas and we want a fucking helicopter, or we're gonna start murdering all the people.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not far fetched.
Oh, so you put it the same as the bank robbers.
Yeah,
I get the bank robbery stuff. Okay,
yeah.
Those are really good.
My goal when it happened, I'll tell you, I freaked. I said I didn't tell anybody for a long time because I didn't.
But you shouldn't have, yeah.
Because I didn't want a copycat. Oh, this is what happened.
Because that's exactly what happens.
And I didn't show any word. I tell you what, I didn't. Not only did I not sleep, I think the funniest part of the whole story was the next morning my mom gets up and she goes, "Why were you and Teresa, my girl at the time? Why were you and Teresa in my room last night? You left the door open and the cats got in." She never knew what happened.
Unbelievable.
Slept through it.
It's lucky they were quiet.
Listen, they came in and they went through everything. And again, that's why I said, what happens if I... Not at that case. That's a safety. They call it something else. So,
Yeah, so I mean, they've got no warrant. They don't have probable cause.
Nothing, permission even.
Then I don't care about plain view doctrine. So
you don't have... I did not give you permission. You're going through my house for what? It better be a good reason. The continue chase thing I get and all that. None of that. So when I'm out there in cuffs screaming, "Get me out of here," in comes the third in charge, commander. I know him. I just went to lunch with him 2 days before. He comes flying down and he knows he jumps like, "Get him out of those cuffs, get him out of those," because I was freaking.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So what do you think it would have to take to implement a system to research someone's name and bing, it's Larry Lawton, he's an influencer? Maybe let's do more due diligence.
I think again they should do something.
I'm just saying, what do you
now
think?
They have to.
So like Larry and I are old enough to remember how long it took the country to just adopt 911 system.
Oh yeah.
So we used to have.
You don't even know who it is.
Yeah, so like everywhere you go back in the day, there were just like every house on your refrigerator, you had a magnet that had like the local fire department's phone number, the local police department's phone number. You had to call. You had to call an actual phone number, not 911.
You're dead by then.
You can't get to the thing. You're done.
You don't remember it.
I don't see them adding things like that. And the reason I don't see it is because Larry Lawton, the influencer, could be committing crimes too.
Well, exactly.
Right.
But when there's a trend being like, oh, Aiden Ross,
so that's
7 million.
Yeah. So they already have they already have the ability to do that. I can give you, for instance,
But they're not.
I've had a client who's he's actually turned into a good friend, but he was a frequent flyer for a while. Really big, very scary guy, and but he's a sweetheart, but he's a scary looking guy. When anybody calls the police on him, the first thing that pops up is, just because of his name, it pops up that he has made threats of violence to police.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have that.
Right. So, and by the way, there was never any proof that he did. He never made threats to the police. Somebody alleged. He said if I called the police, he'll just beat their asses when they get here. So we actually discussed filing a lawsuit to have that removed, because I don't want him to get pulled over for a speeding ticket, and now cop sees that and they go with their gun drawn for a speeding ticket. Right?
They actually took me out of my car and put me in handcuffs for officer safety.
There you go. So
my records, organized crime.
So they have
violence,
those lists. They have the ability to do that. So yeah, absolutely. If your house has been swatted, the next time a call comes in for this address, the first thing that pops up should be, watch out, because he's made threats of violence to cops in the past, and his house has been swatted in the past.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I mean, obviously they should have.
Even just Aiden Ross has been swatted like 10 times by Miami police alone.
Right.
So
they know it down
you
there.
would kind of understand in Miami influencers and the culture and the red flag name, Aiden Ross.
And here's the thing, I don't know if you knew
getting
this.
Swatted.
Literally, and they just showed it, and Trump won the election because of influencers. He did that. Did you know he went on those guys? Joe Rogan.
You went on Joe Rogan.
I went on Lex Friedman.
Theo Vaughn.
That was the best. That Theo Vaughn was the best Trump interview I have ever seen. That was the only person.
Not the whole thing, but
he went on the Nelk Boys.
That was the only person.
He went everywhere.
Yeah.
That was the only person Trump just couldn't control the interview.
Nobody controlled Theo.
No, I love his act.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had a smile.
I don't think it's an act.
It is. No, it is.
I think he's one of those guys.
No.
My wife and I watched him when he was on Real World when he was a kid. He was 18, 19 years old. He was the same then.
So
this is before influencers existed.
So Theo Vaughn,
little, but not enough to be great. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Just a real quick thing about Theo Vaughn. I'm sorry. Theo Vaughn is crazy, but he's crazily smart. So
he's super smart.
All his like crazy stories you guys just think he makes up. He invented a website where you sent in text messages about your life and drama that happened, or wrong text messages you were sent, and then he's taken those stories and implemented them into an entire comedy bit.
Oh wow!
So like when you're like,
he did that on purpose.
Is this really happened to you? It's like. He's a comic, so yes.
He did was the Kramer selling his life stories to Mr. Peterman on Seinfeld?
That is funny. I had the comedian in this room on my show. He was a good friend, Mike Marino. That he was the comedian that when Michael Richardson did that thing in L.A., he had to get on stage after the owner told him clean this up because they were great. And Mike goes, he's a New York, he's a Jersey boy, mob guy. Marino goes, if he said that in my neighborhood, we would have stabbed him 15 times already. Like he got them laughing again, and he's been a comic for a long time. And we talked about that. That was a good show.
That would have been an act I'd want to follow.
All right, we went way over what I wanted to go. Jason, we're gonna have such great conversations. I can see that.
I agree. I can't wait to come back. I definitely have to do a better job of setting time aside on my calendar ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I'll make it happen.
And Jason, as you know, and I'll tell the audience, we tape here all the time. Anytime. Like I said, you see your operation.
Yeah.
Tell me, hey, lad, you're out with the wife, grandparents with the kid. You can sit here. We've had many people sit in on them. We don't mind. They will love to watch how it works and
especially
the whole operation.
So
they get to see this.
Tara, if you're watching, I will not make you come and smell cigar smoke for 2
No, we won't, Tara.
It starts to get in my
I will be meeting Tara soon.
I taste it.
I will meet Tara soon.
Yeah.
I talk about like we were here, and I've had people like Randy Lanier, the biggest pot dealer ever. 190,000 pounds is less 60 million. You know who he is.
I know who he is.
We talked. They said that we had a bunch of people at the interview, and they said you guys forgot the mics because we know each other and the people in prison.
Right.
So we were just like, we've had enough drinks. We're just talking about, and we forgot cameras, and people just were like, wow, like two crazy convicts Guys who did their biggest thing. I was the biggest jewel robber. He's the big pot. He won't say it like, oh, I said, well, you're the biggest. Well, Randy, there's nobody who funded a race team, become rookie of the year in the Indy, and you know where his first 2 loads of dope came in?
Nope.
Melbourne Beach.
Oh yeah.
He goes, oh, they were small, 15,000 pounds, and like that's 7.5 tons.
You know,
2 boats.
Well, one of our biggest legends from Brevard County. One of his claims to fame was like in the '60s. He got caught with like 600 pounds. So
I think I know who it is.
I'll tell you off there.
Okay,
but
I think I know what it
but that's 15,000 pounds. That's not
7 tons. 7.5 tons.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's pot. Pot. I can think pot is nothing, and I really believe Coke is the new pot.
Oh, it's way more acceptable, way more widely
It's
used.
the new pot. You remember when pot became like nothing? Coke is that way.
I thought
it's kind of like
pot's
that.
not edgy anymore because it's legal.
I thought about like
So Coke's still got that edge, and it's classy. So
Whatever it is. I get what you believe. I know what you mean.
Yeah, whoever decided to market cocaine the way they did a really good job.
Great job. The cartel.
Like George Young, one of the celebrities first. If you get the celebrities to do it, everybody else will follow. They made it a classy thing. That's why they're able to overprice it.
100%. You're so right. Not only that, you talk about even Richard Pryor.
Yeah. Well, and way easier to transport. Did
anybody know about that till Richard Pryor burned up?
Right. But so like with weed, you can't transport that without being smelled, a mile away. Cocaine is just
it's there.
It's all around. It's a much better business model.
you also have a lot of.
But yeah, it's definitely more socially acceptable now.
I just think it's the next. In other words, you see that you got a gram, get the
Also,
kind of. You know what I mean? I'm not saying right, and please don't do it out there.
Yeah, definitely not.
We're not. But I want to thank Jason again. Do you have any? Because we're gonna have Jason on a lot. Jason, yes, as you know. Take it that we'll get our schedule sorted. Jason's going to be coming on at minimum every other week or whatever.
I'm going to do my best. I want to come on as frequently as possible.
And again, we can do things anytime for you, Jason. So we understand schedules. We have them. We all do. We travel, and we'll do things. I want to hope everybody out there, and we're going to hear how much you learned. I learned a lot today just on the arraignment that they didn't have to, listen, the case to me is validated by all the judges I spoke to, chiefs of police. I had chiefs of police speak to Nick and say, Nick, do the right thing.
The thing is, I understand I'm guilty for exactly what I am guilty for doing.
But the punishment does not fit the crime.
The second I took my helmet off and he read my address and my first and last name, he started making it really personal for absolutely no reason. Yeah, and I felt personally attacked.
I'm really looking at this.
Before we analyze Nick's case again, let's get discovery. Let's get through discovery. I want to see the body cam footage.
Well, see that. I think they
I told him that
they could have got mad that I did that.
Hold on. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, who cares if the police are mad? You just got to care if the state's mad.
But the
state probably doesn't know that you requested it from the police.
Yeah, well, I did it for you, and I paid. I had to pay for each one.
But if you paid, you did it through the police agency, right? Not the state attorney's office.
Right. Well, yes.
Yeah, so the state doesn't know. The state doesn't even know you requested it, then, man.
Last thing.
I want to see how polite he was. See everything right.
Yes.
And say, why in the world is this happening? It's driving me nuts. But
hold on. I talked to you about this earlier today, where I was like, I'm excited for you to see it, and it doesn't matter if I was being polite, but if the guy said some really common sense shit, and I just walked into it I want to know that too.
See, you know what I mean? And I think the audience wants to know that. We're going to teach them, Jason.
That might have what is.
I'm going to consider you not only everybody's defense attorney. You're giving us that level-headed view of how the law works.
Right.
More than I do. Listen, you want to go to the feds? I'll tell you how the feds work. You don't want to go to the feds, guys. Yeah. Jason will tell you that.
You don't want to go to the feds.
State too, but I'm learning something how a state bullshit could again, like he said, can ruin someone's, not even the record, financially, job, he loses his job.
I'm financially ruined right now. Thanks, Larry.
Who?
Thank you. Yes, it's not a what if. I have zero money.
No. You're not going there. You're not going to be homeless, Nick.
No, that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Larry. You're right here.
I don't want thanks. I want to change the law.
So average second-degree misdemeanor in the state of Florida, if you're going to fight it, it's going to be about $7,500 out of pocket when you take into court costs, fees, fines, cost of prosecution, cost of investigation, and attorney fees.
I have an off-air comment for that. That exact thing.
Average DUI about 12.5.
Oh, I know. DUIs are worse than actually a DUI is worse than a third degree felony.
And another thing,
A lot of people don't know that. Obviously with the insurance and the money. Right. This is everything against what I believe, Jason.
Yeah,
and
I agree. Me too.
And that's why I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not going to support him for being wrong. That we know.
I was guilty on the law.
But
I'm guilty on the law.
Wait a minute.
I agree with that.
Either there has to be a like you said,
but I was attacked.
What do you call it again? The period, a grace period.
Grace period.
There really has to be a grace. You buy a motorcycle, you get 6 months to get, or 5 months, 2 months to get a license, get it all put in court, or you're violated.
What I'd rather is no endorsement requirement, but leave it up to the insurance companies. You know, if you want to get insurance, if you want to get insurance, maybe the insurance company can require you have some special endorsement before they insure you.
Which costs $700.
Yeah, you've got a driver's license. He could get a 35cc moped that doesn't require any kind of endorsement, and he can take that on the same fucking streets. So
and drunk. I could be drunk doing it. Yeah, I could be drunk.
You can buy a trike. I mean, and it just blows me away how this is, and I'm seeing it first. I wouldn't believe any of this shit. You wouldn't either unless I showed you.
And I wouldn't either.
I didn't believe it until you showed me.
When you tell somebody you got your bike towed and of course you had a no endorsement.
Now, real quick, how
mad.
Ironic did all of this match up? Is it ironic or a coincidence that everything I said prior matched directly up to what's going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, no, he understands.
It's pretty ironic.
Look, my old goal when you talk to an attorney or you talk to anybody out there, if it makes sense to you, tell it how it makes sense or not.
And that's
he
what
can figure it out.
That's what I've been doing.
Because he has, and you know.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure out if the judge will let me appear remotely. If she will, I'll represent you on the case, and we'll figure it out.
And if that will work, again, that guy, I'll give him more publicity. Yeah. He'll get whatever he wants.
Yeah, we'll get this figured out though.
I want to say, everybody, first of all, Nick, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick.
Jason, welcome to the team. We're going to be opening eyes with Jason Downs, who's an attorney right here in Melbourne and St. Augustine, right?
Yep.
Has Austin both places. So if you have problems, you check them out. You're going to see it on the scroll. Have a great day, everybody. Please make good choices.
Don't touch anything. It's the greatest find yet. Nothing compares to it.
But it's definitely something you should hear.
This is The Real Deal with Larry Lawton.